Good evening. I'm Tanya Sponholtz, the chair of the Hall of Fame Committee. I, along with the rest of the committee, are glad you were all able to join us this evening to celebrate and honor our 3 inductees tonight. I don't think that any of our inductees ever had the chance to meet Mother Teresa, but they certainly have something in common with her. Mother Teresa said, "I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone across the waters to create many ripples." All 3 of our inductees this evening have created their ripples in our community, helping to change the world and make it just a little bit brighter. Roy Finley's ripples are evident every time we enjoy the Great River Road Learning Center and witness the work of any of the many organizations he was involved with in town, such as the fire department and school board, just to name a few. Char Mcgee created her ripples in Prescott through her work across the city with the Freedom Park, Kiwanis, and Chamber of Commerce, just to name a few. And Nick Schumer created his ripples through his athletic achievements, proving to the youth today that the dream of playing with a professional sports team is not just a dream, but a reality. They join 11 other Hall of Fame members of Prescott who have also created ripples that have made our community and changed it for the better. A little bit of business before we continue on to hearing from our inductees, but for those of you who are in attendance tonight, if you are inspired tonight by any of our words honoring these 3 individuals, and are thinking now of someone else who has created ripples to make change, please consider nominating someone to the Prescott Hall of Fame. We have 3 categories that individuals can be nominated under: service, achievement, and extracurriculars. The nomination requires 2 letters of recommendation and a detailed description of what that individual has achieved and contributed to Prescott. We have nomination forms available on the Prescott School District website as well as the Prescott City website. All right, first up this evening, we would like to welcome Dave Finley, the son of Roy Finley, to speak on Roy's behalf. Dave, come on up. All yours. Yeah.
The world my father, Roy J. Finley, was born into on February 20th, 1908, was very different from the one we all live in today. Cars were a new technology on the market, and people just didn't trust them. In his parents' mind, they thought, what's wrong with a trusty old horse? Today, we all have the iPhones, TikTok, and live stream events. In 1908, it took the news of my father's birth to months to travel all over Pierce County. I found out about my great-granddaughter, his great-great-granddaughter, birth in Oregon within minutes of happening. Today, world is vastly different from one that my father encountered, but some things have remained more important both in his time and yours: education and public service. My father was educated in a one-room schoolhouse and attended high school in River Falls. The future he faced, which in school was predictable and expected. The world that today's students are prepared for is ever-changing and unknown. The big thrill for my father time was getting electricity throughout the house and indoor plumbing. I must admit, getting indoor plumbing was a big thrill for me as well. I am 84 after all. The education my father needed to be successful was basic reading, writing, and arithmetic. Well, today's children need the same. They also need to understand how to be creative, cooperative. This is the new foundation of education, one that does not necessarily have a roadmap laid out before it. My father, in his own way, knew this. He knew his children, his children's children, now even his children's 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 children needed to have a strong, supported education foundation. This was always his goal. He strongly felt the responsibility of a citizen was to pave the way for a better future for the generations to come. That was always my father's focus. Dad worked at various jobs and played various roles in the community. He was on the Great River Road Committee for over 40 years, helped to pave a roadway that spanned the Mississippi River through 10 different states, traveling an estimated of 2,340 miles. Remember, when he was born, Carson Roads was not even a thing. Yet he had the vision and the passion to help guide the creation of the National Scenic Byway that today's is a national treasure. He also served his community on the Pierce County Board of Commissioners for 18 years, as Commissioner of the Mississippi River Parkway for 23 years, and another 18 years on the Mississippi River Regional Planning Commission, where he helped develop and bring to life Freedom Park right here in Prescott. He was a volunteer firefighter, served as the fire chief for a period of time. He was on the Prescott City Council and even served 2 separate stenches as mayor. But he always felt the most important thing he did was the 20 years he served as a member of the Prescott School Board. My father believed that education was the best gift he could give anybody. Education, according to my dad, was a great equalizer. With an education, anybody can achieve anything in life, and it was his role to make sure that the education they received was the best it possibly could be. I remember a time when I was a child when my father came home late from one of the many meetings he attended after his long day at work with the Pierce County Highway Department. And believe me, in the wintertime, some of those work days were pretty long. I remember asking him why he did so many meetings. And he just shrugged and said it was what he was supposed to do. My father never saw public service as a chore or something that should be rewarded. He saw it as a gift and a responsibility. He never bragged or boasted about all the things he did on these committees that he served on. He was a quiet leader. I can just imagine his reaction by getting this honor today. He would be embarrassed and reluctant to accept it. He never did anything for the recognition. He was truly honored to serve. I am, however, thrilled you are making this time and effort to honor him and all he did for our community. I am humbled to think that the memory of all that he accomplished continues today I see his legacy every day in the eyes of the children of Prescott. When I walk through Freedom Park and drive the roadways he helped pave. And while he did what he could do to serve his fellow man in the time God gave him on earth, he has passed the torch of public service to all of us. I challenge each of you sitting here today to match the dedication my father showed to this community and to the greater world. We all know the challenge we face. The news can be a hard thing to watch sometimes with all the negativism swirling the world today. But my father, Roy J. Finley, showed us the way. He showed us the world's impact one person can have on the world around him. My father passed away on August 5th, 2005, and well, he has gone for over 16 years. He continues to serve as a beacon and guide us to selfless public service in the name of our children and the generations to come. I thank you for this honor on behalf of me, my family, and most of all, my father, Roy J. Finley. Thank you.
That is yours. Yeah. Did you want this too, just to protect it?
Yep. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, next up we have Rick Allen to introduce Char Mcgee. So Rick, please come on up.
Thank you, Dave. That was beautiful. Nice job. Good evening. It's an honor to be here tonight. If you've ever done any kind of volunteering in Prescott, you most likely have rubbed elbows with or met Char Mcgee. And not just once or twice, but possibly 3 times in a day. From 8 a.m. Prescott Chamber meeting to a noon Kiwanis meeting to an evening Prescott Days committee meeting. You can pretty much depend on seeing Char there. She might be planning the event, setting up the event, wiping down tables afterwards, not only participating, but serving on or even chairing the committee. She is a leader in the true sense of the word and demonstrates this leadership in many ways. Char never shies away from the tougher, more challenging leadership functions. Char is a great example of a truly selfless leader. She always greets you with a hi, how are you doing, and she means it. And she also really wants to hear your answer. She's willingly offers praise and credit to the others and equally willing to share accolades, achievements, positive results for the whole team. Char's generosity is second to none, including her yearly contributions to Secret Santa. If you ever walked into her office space before the delivery happens for the Secret Santa, the donated gifts were stacked to the ceiling. Not only is she generous in her monetary contributions, but she is generous in her time and her friendship. And I feel very privileged to have had the opportunity to serve with Char. I also can't express how much I have learned from Char. I consider her a mentor as well as one of my closest friends. Her dedication and thoughtfulness are always apparent. I just can't think of an area where Char Mcgee hasn't positively affected our community and the people in it. I can't think of a person more deserving than Char Mcgee to be a member of the Prescott Hall of Fame. So now, with pleasure, I present to you Char Mcgee.
He likes to speak less than I do. So good job, Rick. Yeah, okay, here we go. Thank you for the music. That was really a nice touch. The food was delicious. I'm so full I can barely talk right now, but wow. I just want to say thank you to my nominators for the Prescott Hall of Fame Award. Also, the committee, the 11-person nominating committee, for selecting me as a recipient. I am honored, and I'm really bad at this, so I'm going to keep going. And Tanya's like the vocal person here. But Tom Swanson said he'd talk if I couldn't do it. Okay. Okay, to the other inductees, Nick, go Bisons. We have a little Bison stuff in our family. I don't know you personally, but I know your family, and that speaks for itself. We have watched you, and we have had, you've had a really successful career. Roy Finley's family, I remember Roy. He was right out there with everybody, working as hard as he can. As I reflect, I remember seeing him diligently working for his community. He and I share a passion, and that is the Great River Road. It's Learning Center and the Visitor Center, our Freedom Park. I hope he's happy with our stewardship and the place that he loves so much. I see it in all of you. I really do. Okay. I have a lot of difficulty accepting awards. I can say there has not been one thing I've accomplished without the support of others. I wish they could all get an award. And I couldn't have done it alone. Couldn't have done it with people. And I look around at everyone in this room, and you're all there. You're all working. I credit my mom, Sally West, for showing me by her actions about selflessly giving back no matter your own situation. And I thank my husband, John, for the time away from him and the back when we needed to move the picnic table or whatever it was you were going to do. Thanks for sticking it out, honey. My sister Connie, her husband Dave, her daughter Camille, and, you know, her kids, Tanae and Michael, guess what? We're going to go pick up garbage today for the Kiwanis Club, for the chamber, for this or that or that. And so they always kept a really good sense of humor because we needed it when no one else was showing up. Okay, and I thank my friends, several who have taken time to join me this evening, for continually to have my back for each project that came along. They'd say, how can I help? With each project, I always met more friends and community members that wanted to pitch in and do their part. Their part to make Prescott the community we all call home and we're proud to be a part of. When I arrived in Prescott in '76, I was halfway through my sophomore year. I knew I was home. As my fellow classmates were wanting to go and leave and move away from here, I already knew I landed where I belonged. It's this community that deserves the credit for nurturing me. The teachers, the school, everyone. Employers like Tom and Bev Rubel from the Virginian that taught me how to work. The leaders of the chamber, the leaders of the Kiwanis Club, Freedom Park, the Prescott Foundation, Secret Santa helpers, and all the friends of my Prescott insurance life. I thank everyone so much. So, you see, no one can do good things alone. That is where I struggle to accept an award. I ask what one thing, because nobody can do as much as Roy. I ask what one thing can you do to make Prescott a great place to call home? Be the example as others learn by example. Many thanks.
don't know what you were talking about. You're a fine public speaker. That was great. That was great. All right. And next up, we have Brady Randolph to introduce Nick Schumer, please.
You know, if you didn't win so many awards, I wouldn't have to wear my glasses. But then maybe that's just old age. So I'm Nick's first cousin. And when he was a little kid, you know, he was really small when he was growing up. So, but he had this body composition that was a little bit different than everybody else. He was, oh, sorry. Am I not talking to the mic? Sorry. So Nick was really, really small as a young child. And can you hear me now? Fair enough. But he had this body composition that was just a little bit different than everybody else. Like he had muscles where muscles weren't as a little child, right? Like he had stomach muscles where, you know, normally kids don't have stomach muscles. But he was just built in a different manner. And then when I was a senior in high school, I got to coach him in flag football and my brother. And so it was 4th, 5th, and 6th. And he was obviously one of the smaller kids in the whole league. But you can kind of see that athletic ability develop because he was one of the fastest kids, even though he was one of the youngest kids, right? And I said to myself, well, you know, if this kid grows a little bit, maybe he'll have an opportunity to be a decent high school athlete, right? Obviously, I was a little bit wrong on that, right? So I went to college and came back and then started watching his football games, started watching him wrestle, started watching him in baseball, and you know, he just kept growing and growing and growing and getting bigger, stronger, faster. But there's really two things that kind of separated Nick apart. And it was, one, he had the heart of a lion, and he would simply do anything he could to win a game. And number two, he was absolutely fearless. And if you were running across the field and he was playing free safety, he'd want to send you into next week. There's no doubt about it. So it's that, you know, mental capacity along with just raw ability. And it's no wonder why he played in the pros. So I got a bunch of accolades here to read off, and then I'll finish up, but because Jeff has me on a 5-minute window. In high school football, he was all-conference 2002, 2003, all-district 02 and 03, first team all-state in 03, team captain in 03, and played in the Wisconsin Shrine Game, which is basically the all-star game for all of Wisconsin in football. And then in high school baseball, he was all-conference 03 and 04, all-district 03 and 04, first team all-state in 2004, and played in the high school all-star game as well. So he played in the all-star game in football and baseball, right? And he was also, and Jeff, you have to correct me if I'm wrong, but we were talking the other day, and I think he's the first player to ever hit over 500 2 consecutive seasons. First. And I think PD did it too. So then he, you know, went on to NDSU, North Dakota State, and had a full ride, right? He was a 4-year starter, all conference in 07 and 08, third team All-American in 2008, and more importantly, he was on the Dean's List and graduated from North Dakota State with a degree in Management Information Systems. What a lot of people really don't know, though, is his freshman year he redshirted, right? So he had some time off, and the baseball team asked him to join. So between spring practices and the spring game, he went and played baseball for North Dakota State, right? Which he just didn't play, he was starting, right? And I actually got to go watch him play up at the Dome, and of course, you know, he was starting in right field and had the game-winning hit to beat the Gophers. So then he was drafted 242nd overall to Tennessee. He blocked a punt against San Diego, which led to a 2-page, you know, picture of him in Sports Illustrated. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that. It's pretty awesome. So some first, you know, like he was the first Prescott athlete to receive a full scholarship, right? Really the only athlete to play professionally at the highest level their sport has to offer. You know, it could be MLB, it could be NFL, it could be WNBA, NBA, NHL, the Olympics, right? He achieved that. So there should be no doubt in anybody's mind who the best athlete is from Prescott. Ladies and gentlemen, Nick Schumer. Do you have to present this? I'm supposed to present it.
Thanks, Brady. Those are some pretty kind words. I remember as a kid looking up to Brady, obviously my older cousin, and I can remember when I was roughly 8 years old, I was watching Brady and the baseball team trying to compete for a state championship. And I remember sitting with Trav and probably some of the other kids on the bus saying that when my cousin Brady hits the ball, he can really hit it. And no shit, the next pitch, he hit a home run. Problem was he missed home plate, so it didn't count. Brady, all jokes aside though, man, I've always looked up to you. You've obviously been more than a cousin. You're a brother to me. And I appreciate everything you've done. Like Brady had mentioned, 12 years ago I was drafted in the 7th round of the National Football League, and all rookies have to go to this thing called the Rookie Symposium. And it's basically a 3-day, call it a workshop, learning how to not foolishly spend your money, how to become a professional, and it had some charity aspects with it as well. And I remember one of the speakers said, "Stand up if you dare to be great. Keep standing if you dream of being in the Hall of Fame." Well, after 12 years, I can gladly say that I'm finally in the Hall of Fame. Tonight wraps up my last accomplishment as a Prescott High School graduate. As I look back on my glory days, tonight is also kind of a bittersweet. If I was to tell you that the best senior football player of my class, as well as the best male athlete of my class, was not associated with my name, that's where you'd get the bitter from. However, tonight, I get the last laugh, and that's where the sweet comes from. As a kid, growing up, like Brady alluded to, I was 5'6", 115 pounds as a freshman in high school. I had two dreams. One was to grow tall, and two was to play professional sports. I can gladly say that I accomplished one of those, and depending on who you are, both of them. There's a lot of people who were instrumental to my athletic accomplishments, and I don't have time to thank them all, especially as I hear Coach Ryan has an open tab at Flanders till 8:15, so we better wrap this up. However, I want to thank Pat Block for nominating me. I want to thank the board for accepting my nomination, even though it's year 4. And lastly, I want to thank my parents, obviously, for everything done, especially my dad. He was, instrumental to me getting to this point in my life. Anytime I wanted to play catch, hit balls, he would literally throw 5-gallon buckets to me at the middle school tennis racket until I didn't want to swing no more. So, Dad, I just want to let you know I appreciate you. You're my hero, and I love you, and that's all I have to say. So, thank you.
Someone steal my sheet? Oh, here it is. All right. I'm the co-chair, so they make me talk a little bit. Basically, I'm here to say we'd like to thank all the people that helped make this happen, which would be Patax. They did a great job with the food. Trophies Plus for the plaques. Andrea Herzan. Bart Pahachik. Larry M. is back filming us. Todd Tilson. And the Student Council for serving us. Of course, thank Jeff Strongarms into doing that. And then the Hall of Fame Committee, we got to thank them for making this possible. Everybody would like to stand up who's on the Hall of Fame Committee, please. Stand up. Come on, Jeff. Come on, everybody. Stand up. Back there, too. A couple here. And the Hall of Fame Committee, it's made up of, I think, school, as well as some of the residents or people from Prescott. And there's a membership, so every 3 years you're off. Guess what? I think I'm off this time. And so is Chris. But what we're looking for is anybody here that would like to. It's a good thing. It helps the community, and it's kind of fun to learn about people. So anybody that's interested, before you leave, don't be afraid to catch one of the Hall of Fame members and let us know if you're interested in doing it. let's, again, the next item down here is we're going to go down to Flanders to continue the celebration. There we can probably have your beverage of choice instead of pop water and coffee. Those who received the awards and those who nominated them or presented to them would like to get pictures, I think, back by the Hall of Fame plaques themselves. Other than that, thank you all for coming. Have a great evening.